Welcome to Therapy Explained. My name is Denise Pleiner. I am a licensed therapist and clinical director and owner of a group therapy in California tailored to meet the mental health needs of BIPOC adults in individual and couples therapy. To learn a little bit more about me and the practice, check the links down below. Here on YouTube, I help explain, destigmatize, and demystify mental health and mental health treatment. In today's video, we're going to be talking about different ways in which we can develop or think about New Year's resolutions. Now, I know that a lot of us might have this love-hate relationship with New Year's resolutions. There's this pressure to want to be new you, better you after, the clock strikes midnight. And well, I personally, I'm not a really big fan of saying new you because who you are is more than enough. And because there's just too much pressure to have to change or to choose certain resolutions that might not actually align to you. I am a big fan though of taking this time for self-reflection. And of course, as a therapist, self-reflection is one of my favorite things to do. So I do this often. I guide my patients through this quite often. And yeah, the new year might be a really good time for us to sit back, reflect on where we've been, and think about where we want to go. But of course, being who I am, I'm also a big fan of making sure that we integrate a lot of self-compassion into our vision for the future. So I'm going to share with you 3 different ways to create goals for yourself that you can use at any point, not just during the New Year's, but that also include self-compassion in a more realistic way to help you get to where you want to get. These 3 different types are very, very different. The first one is a little bit more involved and requires more thinking, brainstorming of specific actions that you want to take towards your goal. And then slowly to the last one, we'll get to a more broad and less specific way of thinking about your vision for the future. Now you can do all 3, you can do just 1 or just 2, whichever fits best for you. You can always mix and match. I'd be curious to know which one you like better, which one aligns for you the most. And I'll talk a little bit more at the end about how you can actually implement all 3 of these if you would like to. So without further ado, let's just go ahead, jump into the video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you like what you hear at any point, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more videos on mental health. So let's just go ahead and talk about the 3 ways in which you can create goals for yourself that will actually work and hopefully get you to be more compassionate with yourself. The first one is to develop SMARTY goals. Now, this is a term that I took from something that's already been developed. So the Department of Mental Health here in California uses SMART goals, and I worked for the Department of Mental Health for almost 4 years. And so I take the SMART goals practice that I learned to do, and then I also tweaked it a little bit to match what I see most commonly holds people back from actually accomplishing the goals that they set out for themselves. And the E at the very end, the SMART E goals, stands for emotion. So it's important for us to create goals that are emotionally connected to us. So choosing things that we actually want to do for ourselves, and not because we feel like we're supposed to, or because someone has told us that that's what our goal should be, or society or whatever, someone is telling us this is the right goal, this is the kind of life that you should build for yourself. Because when we're not connected emotionally to our goals, when there isn't like a driving force behind that, oftentimes we'll just let it go because it's not as important to us. And then the big chunk of it, the SMART, S-M-A-R-T part that I attached my E to, stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals. And the reason for this is because we want to make sure that all of these elements, when we're thinking about creating goals, are specific things that feel realistic to us, that we can measure over time, so that we feel like, oh, okay, yeah, we're actually changing, there is some growth, there is some difference, I'm actually making movement towards where I want to get to. So SMART goals, or SMARTY goals, if you do them the way that I do them, can be a great way to develop goals because, again, it's a clear path that we're developing for ourselves to get to where we want to be. Now, the thing about SMARTY goals is that though sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, sometimes we don't stick to that whole attainable or realistic part where we kind of shoot for the stars and there's this place where we want to be and we are trying to get there faster than we actually can. So if you want to do the SMARTY goals version of goal creation, I do have a video on it. You can go ahead and watch it. I'll link it down below, or I'll also add like a little title card here so that you can jump to that video afterwards if it speaks to you, where I talk more about how to create those and how to go about doing that. But one last note on SMARTY goals is that if you do choose to go that route, remember to still allow yourself to be flexible. And as time passes by, you're revisiting your goals and you're adjusting them to see where you're at and kind of what's been difficult about making progress. Because again, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are really incorporating self-compassion to our growth. It takes time. Unlearning new things and learning new things at the same time takes a lot of energy, and sometimes it helps to have an accountability buddy. And I do talk about that in the video, but again, whether it's a therapist or a friend or someone who's coming along to help you with that can make a big difference. Create a vision board. Now, this option you're probably pretty familiar with. You've probably seen it going around. There's a lot of group practices that I'm familiar with that are hosting a vision board creation event. Other people not in the mental health field are also doing vision board creations, and I'm a really big fan of creating vision boards because unlike the SMARTY goal way of creating goals, is a lot less stressful. It's not as time bound or at all time bound, and it really is more about creating a vision, a general vision for where you want to go. You might be at a place in your life where you don't necessarily want to commit to a specific something, or you don't really know what you want to do exactly to get to where you want to be at, but you do have an overall vision of where you want to be and how you want to feel. Now, I really like vision boards again because they're less stressful. They again don't require all this extra work. However, vision boards sometimes do get lost. So we'll create our vision board, we're really excited about it, and then after a while, we put them away, we never look at them, and then next year we're kind of creating a vision board all over again. That looks pretty similar because we haven't made progress to where we said we want it to be. So my little tidbit for self-compassion and accountability when you're using vision boards is that when you create that vision board, make sure that you're putting it in somewhere in your living area or work area that is visible to you. So it's a reminder, frequent reminder of where you want to get to. But also be intentional about checking in with your vision board. If it's been some time, check it out, look at it, what still speaks to you and what doesn't. Because again, it's all about flexibility. Maybe something that feels like you want to do now isn't possible, or just simply doesn't align with who you are in 6 months, and that's okay. Something else that I would recommend that you do is that vision boards can be really great guides. So if at any point this year, after creating your vision board, you're trying to make a really big decision and you're not sure which way to go, use your vision board. It is a great, tangible message to yourself about where you say you want to go and the kind of life that you want to live for yourself, right? So if you're making a decision that is difficult, look at your vision board and ask yourself, which one of these choices will lead me closer to what I said I wanted in my vision board? Now, if you find yourself drawn to a decision that doesn't align with your vision board, it's possible that your vision board or your decision needs to be rethought and figure out why there is that difference between those two. But again, a vision board can work as a great guide if you're trying to make difficult decisions. And sometimes a vision board can be a jumping off point to your SMARTY goals. Guiding words or intentions. This one I encourage everybody to do, and this one doesn't take too long. You can choose a word or a phrase that will serve as your guide throughout the year. Now, this is similar to the vision board because it does require you to, again, have a general and broad vision of what you want to do, but you don't have to cut out things or put it on anything. You can write it down somewhere in your journal or in a poster on your calendar. Again, ideally, this is something that you can look at frequently so that you can keep yourself accountable for these things. Guiding phrases or words or intentions are things like closer relationships with my family, finding a partner that makes me happy, more work fulfillment, peace, calm. So it could be a word, it could be a phrase. And again, it's an overall feeling that you would like to have. Choose 1 to 5 words or phrases to guide you. Again, you can just write them down as a list and revisit them. I would take a picture of it or screenshot it, frame it, put it somewhere that you can look at so that you can maintain yourself accountable, right, for this vision, kind of very, very broad vision for what you want to do. Now, I like this one also because it's a very general idea of where you want to go. It doesn't require too much time commitment. You don't have to create a vision board out of it. You don't have to create smaller goals like you would in your Smarty Goals creation. So it's less time intensive, it's less pressure because it allows for flexibility about, what that needs to look like for you. So I'm a really big fan of kind of intention or guiding words or phrases because of their flexibility. However, just like the vision boards, sometimes we'll create these and then we completely forget about them and realize 6 months later that we're still not happy with where we're at. And so just like with the vision board, I encourage you to keep it somewhere visible and then also be intentional about revisiting it. Again, it might change at some point. You realize that you wanted a partner in the beginning of the year and then realize actually I'm not really looking for a partner right now. That doesn't really fit into my life. Or you find them from now in 6 months and so you're going to choose a different phrase, or again, you change, you grow, and these intentions and words and phrases can grow with you and can change with you. So allow for that flexibility to allow for that change. But again, these can also be really good guides for your decisions and choices throughout the year. Whenever, again, you're trying to make a decision, whether it's big or small, that you're kind of conflicted about and not sure which way to go, your guiding phrases or words can be helpful in making these decisions, because then you can ask yourself, which of these decisions will help me get to where I want to go? Now, as you can tell, this last one is the most broad of all 3, but you can also use this as a starting point to do the other 2. So you can choose maybe guiding words or phrases, then take that into a vision board, and then from that vision board, maybe even jump into Smarty Goals. Or you could stop at the vision board, or you could stop just at the phrases. So you can use all 3 of these if you would like to create those goals for yourself, or again, just stop at one, whatever feels the best for you. And remember that creating self-reflection and creating goals for yourself can happen at any time. So don't think about it as just a New Year's thing. Sure, it's a great marker because it's a new year, so it kind of feels like, a natural maybe point to reflect and adjust your vision for your life, but it can happen at any time. I hope that you liked one of these 3. If you've chosen to do one, let me know. Or if you've already done one, let me know. Or maybe there's something that you've done in the past that is familiar to one of these or completely different, and let us know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and remember that I am always cheering for you.